Decorated Man here. Noel Plum did a response to my stance on whether or not I would worship the Judeo-Christian God if I had enough evidence that it actually existed. And of course I had no idea he would do that, so I appreciate that. I appreciate his thoughts on it, and I find them to be interesting. Of course we're dealing with a hypothetical here. And there's a lot of comments under his video. Different people had different ideas and trying to weigh the pros and cons, and some agree, some don't. And Noel's conclusion at the end is that he would toe the line, and that probably would be enough for God. Given the character of God in the Bible and what we know about this hypothetical God, or that is to say, what we've been told about this hypothetical God, it's not enough to toe the line. You have to accept and embrace this sacrifice that Jesus has done. And I don't know how you could make your mind do that. I suppose it's possible, but it might take some time to get there. So, if you knew today, if you found out today, overwhelming evidence of the Judeo-Christian God, and you absolutely know that there's this eternal torture or this eternal paradise, I put quotes around it because it's really depicted in various parts of the Bible, at least the Revelation. Heaven is nothing but worship of God 24/7, so I wouldn't call that paradise. But if you knew today, you could start to begin to try to make your brain accept the notion of worshiping Jesus and fake it until you make it, and doing so as sort of a response to I don't want to suffer, which is submitting to the ad ballum that God of the Bible has. And that's all it has. It has an ad ballum and it has a bribe. Those are the two. It has the carrot and the stick, and that's it. And Noel talks about North Korea and how if you found yourself there, that you would toe the line. And that may or may not be true. I'm not sure. It's hard to say. I'm reminded of some of Dr. Jordan Peterson's talks where he teaches his class that if you were in the Nazi times, you would more than likely be one of the guards. You would be a Nazi guard. You would be able to do the things that they did. And recognizing and accepting this is kind of a part and parcel of his philosophy and his way of viewing how humans function. And the overwhelming majority of people during those times did go along with the Nazis. And there was a distinct minority of people who fought them, but did so quietly, because fighting them loudly was, foolish. So resisting is wise if you can do so in a way that avoids the punishment, or at least tries to avoid the punishment. But here with this deity, this ultimate of tyrant, it knows your thoughts and feelings. So there's no pretending to go along. You have to really actually do it. You have to believe in your head that this is a good thing to do. And you have to fully embrace it. And like I said, perhaps you can reprogram your brain given enough time to do that. And you might be doing so in order to preserve yourself and avoid the horrible torture. I think that it's really difficult to gauge how we would act in a situation like that because, there's a finite existence that we have. People that have suffered through torture, their resolve does not break. They might break, mentally speaking, but all the studies on torture have shown overwhelmingly that it's ineffective for extracting information. The person will not tell you the thing that you want to be told. And the paradox is, if they did tell you, you think that they're lying, you think they're making it up, so you continue the torture anyways. So it doesn't work. During the Christian Crusades, people that were tortured would not repent. They would not admit guilt. They would not convert, even though doing so meant a quicker death, because they weren't going to just let them go. They were going to kill them either way, but they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't change. They held on. So that says something about human nature, that certain circumstances make us follow along, like, the different soldiers in the Nazi regime. But yet other circumstances make us rebel even more, like torture. If your friends, family, loved ones were all captured and put behind very thick glass, and you're bound and chained, and instead of your life being threatened, all of their lives are being threatened, that if you don't do X, whatever that is, that they will begin to be tortured slowly, dipped into acid or having their fingernails removed, whatever horrors you can come up with, and like something like from the Saw movies or something terrible and horrible. Well, it's one thing to want to avoid torture for yourself, but it's a whole nother thing to withstand being able to see your loved ones hurt like that. Under that situation, would you kowtow? More than likely, you would. And given that situation, my ethics requires the least harm to the least amount, the most good for the most amount. So the least amount of harm would be to go along, even though that negates my ethics, because it's saving these people. Now, I don't know that will work, but I will try it. If it didn't work, then it doesn't matter what I do, so I might as well not say or do anything. With God, it knows your head, it knows your brain, it knows what you're thinking, so you can't fake it. You can't just go along just to do it, just to try to avoid it. You're screwed. And so I'm already screwed. And if I found out while I'm alive that there's evidence of this thing, I would make videos talking about, yes, it's real and true, but I would also try to find ways to destroy it, which I guess there isn't one, but that would be the endeavor that I would set upon, because this thing is evil and disgusting and vile, and it needs to be stopped somehow. But it kind of comes to this question of, it's not just me, it's everybody else that's going to be tortured. On the battlefield, a grenade falls and someone jumps upon it. They know that they're going to die, but they're saving everybody else. If I could sacrifice myself to save everyone else, I would. I wouldn't relish the thought of the pain and suffering that I was going to go through. But I would do it. And you can question my resolve, and you could say, oh, come on, you wouldn't do that. You're not that brave, or whatever. And I can't prove that I am that steadfast without being in some sort of bizarre situation. But I would, because I love logic, and in a sense, logic's my god. I value it more than I do anything about myself. And you can doubt that I can't prove these things. And it's no effort of mine to virtue signal or whatever. I don't care what people think of me. It doesn't matter. You can hate me, you can love me, you can think that, you can say, well, you can't pronounce words, you can't spell words, you can't read essays, you look bad, etc., whatever. It doesn't matter. All that matters is the argument. That's it. That's what matters. Are my arguments logically valid and sound or not? That's it. That's all that matters. I've maintained that throughout the course of this channel. When I get things wrong, I admit that I'm wrong. And I learn from that. I'm not perfect. I know that. Nobody's perfect. It's a bizarre idea. Perfection doesn't exist as far as I can tell. I want to be the best skeptic that I can be. I want to be the best human that I know how to be. And I want to adhere to logic as best as I can, knowing that I'll fail at times. But it is what makes me me. You can doubt that, you can throw words at me, and you can be skeptical of that because I can't give an argument for it, because it's a belief statement that I have. I cannot demonstrate that these things are true. And thus you should be skeptical of everything I've said in a way. And that's fine. Is this prudent to go along with something to avoid torture finitely or infinitely? Is it prudent to go along with something if doing so would prevent the torture of others? It depends. We don't negotiate with terrorists, typically speaking. Although, well, who knows now. The police, if they've got somebody surrounded and they have hostages, they'll negotiate, but they won't really give in to any demands. They'll give them small things, like they might give them pizza, they might, give them something to eat or drink, but they won't really give them what they want, or they'll kind of pretend to do that, and they'll basically wear the guy or gal down. And the thing is, once you start giving in, that chain never stops. There have been brave souls in the past who stood up and said no and died because of it. I hope to be one of those. I hope to never encounter a situation where my resolve is tested. But all I can say is that my true feelings on this is that I will suffer whatever I must in order to adhere to my ethics, unless doing so would harm more people, then I must not do it. I must do whatever I can to lessen suffering of as many people as possible, whatever that might mean. So, I won't do it. I won't kneel. I won't bow. I won't worship. If I was in North Korea, I would protest or rebel in the wisest way that I could find to do it, quietly, underground. An underground resistance. Because doing so openly would be foolish. So, it depends on the situation that you find yourself in, how to go about fighting the good fight. A lot of people in America want to impeach Trump, which, even if that was successful in removing, not just impeaching him, but also removing him from office, that just means the vice president's in charge, and he's kind of kooky as well. So then you'd have to impeach him, and then you still have all the staff that's there, and this is the good fight, if there is one, will not be won in that way. And if it is won in that way, then it sets a bizarre precedent that may be something that we regret. But we must fight the good fight in whatever way we know how, but doing so must be done with logic and reason, to the best of our ability to do so. Impeach Trump? Why? What's that going to do? How is that going to make things better? The VP will be in charge. What you want is a change to what's going on. And, well, why do you want that? And what do you want to replace it? And what would that look like? And rather than spinning your wheels on something that probably wouldn't happen and wouldn't work anyways, focus on the goal of changing things to be better, that will work, and that can work, and that makes sense. Anyways, it's a large tangent. But Noel brought up politics, so it's his fault. That's all I have. Thanks for watching.